Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Samurai Schultz, and welcome to Unreal Engine. We're doing something. What the heck? I see what you're saying, and that's not what you should be seeing. There we go. We're doing something a little bit different today. Um, so, at the beginning of this year, I made myself a promise that by the end of this year, I would get a prototype going for the first game that I want to make. And the name that that game goes by is right up here. I don't know if you can see that. It's called Hot End. Um, I've written out quite a lot of the story. I've built a bit of the world as well. And it's essentially I guess you could call it a dungeon crawler. I wonder if that's accurate. I, I'm, what's the definition of a dungeon crawler, actually? Yeah. So it's not procedurally generated, which is normally how I would think of dungeon crawlers. Uh, but yeah, so I want to get a prototype of this going by the end of the year, and so I've decided to make a new GitHub repository for it and a new project. Um, so I'm starting over from scratch, and I'm gonna completely rebuild my gameplay ability system from the ground up. And yeah, I'm really excited. So I've had a little bit of trouble actually initializing it in my repository. So I'm gonna make a commit really quick here. So I connected to revision control, and I'm just gonna say initialize project. And oh my goodness, that's a lot of files. I can't initialize it. That's fine though. We're just gonna keep working on it. Um, so I have like a very specific way that I like to organize everything. Okay. I swear, recording Unreal Engine is like the deadliest thing. Um, hold on a second. We're gonna fix this. We're gonna Yeah, because I have to switch it to display capture. Okay, there we go. Alrighty, let's get started. So, if I press Control Z, shouldn't do anything, I don't think. Anyways, um, I kind of like my content folder to mirror my C++ classes folder. So for example, I'm gonna actually make a new C++ class right now, and we're gonna make one based on game mode. And I'm gonna make it public. And we'll put this under, we're just gonna put this under modes. I think that's a good name for it. Um, actually, we're gonna put this under game structure, and then it'll go under modes. And we don't want it to be called my game mode. We're just gonna call this Hot End game mode. Now, normally how you'd say that is like it's like hot end, like with just a little bit of an R at the end. Because I believe it's actually I got the I got the word from this YouTuber named Ancient Literature Dude, and he studied Old Norse. He actually makes a lot of shorts about it. Okay, I forgot to turn off live coding, so that's gonna be annoying. We'll have to turn that off here. I'm so glad that that's there. Okay, we're gonna trust and open that. Trust and open. Okay, let's see if this compiles correctly. Why did it open two? I love that. Why did it open? Three even. Amazing. Okay. Uh, well, Oh my gosh. So, basically, for those of you who don't know how, oh my goodness. For those of you who don't know how GitHub works, every change that you make has to be uploaded to a branch. And I have my GitHub repository, which is the file that has, all of the files I need in it. I have that published on GitHub, which means I need to every change that happens, I have to push it to the branch. I have to like basically say yes, like this is a change that I want to keep. And then from there I have to push it to GitHub, which uses bandwidth, obviously, internet bandwidth. And right now I have 452 changed files, which means, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to split this up into a bunch of different commits so that each one will fit. So I'm gonna have to commit it so it goes to my local repository, and then I'm gonna push that as like 1 out of 9 because yeah. Anyways, that's gonna be a bit of a headache, but it's okay. It's okay. We'll be fine. So I'm gonna delete that, and we're just gonna set up our other C++ classes. So instead of game structure, we have some other things to do. So I think we have a player state class, and this is gonna be content player states. That's gonna be in game structure, and it's gonna go under player. And how I came up with this folder organization is kind of all based around the game mode. And I'll show how that works after I compile this. I think everything is in order there. I literally just I just disabled that. I don't like that pop-up. So that's why I turned that off, but it doesn't listen. Actually, compile. Save on compile. On live coding, automatically compile new. Yes, I want that. Any newly added classes will be automatically compiled and trigger a hot reload of the module they are added to. I don't remember why, but a lot of the instructors that I've had on Udemy just have this disabled. But I'm gonna leave. Should I leave it for now? Not sure. And by the way, I have this project on the 5.6.0 preview. So probably a bad idea, but we're running with it. So anyways, we have the hot end game mode, and right now I don't think I really need to customize it in the actual C++ code at all. Let's take a look here. Yeah, I didn't hear it's from game mode. I always like to put a space between my generated and my other includes. Oh, fill out my copyright notice. I might do that later. I actually have my own idea for the my studio name when I hopefully create my own studio in the future. But I'm not going to reveal that yet because that would be silly. It decreases the significance of it, I think. So under game structure, we're going to make a new folder. We're just going to call this modes because I believe that's what our other one is called. Yes. And while we're at it, let's just make one for player. Might as well. And inside of modes, we're going to make a blueprint. And we're going to go to all classes. And we just made that hot end game mode, right? And we're going to inherit from that. So this is going to be BP underscore hot end game mode. Uh-oh, forgot to turn this on silent. No matter, it's dealt with. Okay. So let's get these out of the way, get those out of the way, and get that out of the way. Yeah, so I don't really need any of that because I'm not actually doing any blueprint scripting in this, I don't think. At least not for now. So far, I've just been kind of like copying the C++ code that my instructors write and trying to understand it, of course. I try to understand as I write it. But in the future, I'll probably be doing blueprint scripting and then translating that into C++. Anyways, we have the game mode is kind of like I kind of think of it as the motherboard of the game because there's so many other components that fit into it. So, for example, we have all of these different things right here. These are the classes that I'm looking at. The main ones that I'm looking at are player controller, player state, HUD class, and default pawn class. So I guess the simplest one to explain is this. So default pawn classes, that is if I put a player start into the level, what the player start is what it does is it looks at the game mode that this level operates under, which is not currently this one, but we'll set it. And then from there, it's going to get the default pawn and spawn that default pawn at this player start. So a player or a default pawn could be either the player character, well, actually, a pawn in general as a class. It could be a character, or it could be, an enemy, essentially. Because character inherits, the character class inherits from the pawn class, if I remember correctly. The pawn is it's basically an object that can receive input either from your controller, which is the player controller, or from an AI controller. So here we'll need to make a default pawn class and then go into the drop down and then select it. And then HUD class, that's basically okay, what's the class that all of my heads up displays inherit from? So that's another class. I'll have to make a C++ class for all of my heads up displays. And then if I make a health bar, for example, I'll make a widget blueprint and then have that inherit from my C++ class. I hope that makes sense. So for each of these, we're making a C++ class, and then we're making some kind of blueprint that inherits from that. And the reason we do it that way is because um, that blueprint, like I said, it's going to inherit from that C++ class that we're creating. So whatever code we write in the C++ class is going to get passed on down to the blueprint. Oh, my nose itches. Oh. Player state. Honestly, I'm not sure what player state does. I know I literally just created one. Temp content. I'm not sure what that does. You know what? Let's see what it does. So let's go to all classes, and let's go to player state, and let's see what the tooltip says. Okay, a player state is created for every player on a server or standalone game. Player states are replicated to all clients and contain network game relevant information about the players, such as player names. Okay. Okay, so this is essentially for server replication. Uh, and that's important because I do want Hot 10 to be a co-op game. It's going to be a co-op PvE game, which I think is very, I think a lot of people really want that right now. At least I want it. And so that's going to be used for that. I think it might be used for things like player state in the typical sense that I think about it, which is like, you know, getting the players walking, or if they're attacking, or if the player is, you know, swimming, like different movement states, for example. Uh, or maybe if they have their inventory open or closed, because there's going to be uh, animations and widgets based on different actions like those. Whoops, that's not what I want. I just want to save. Oh, I have to, yeah, I see. I'm going to save this level as Hot 10 Sandbox. Because this is going to be where I'm just going to put some prototype stuff. Oh man. I don't know if you saw that box a few seconds ago. It said updating file revision file control status. I don't remember. Updating file revision control status. Yeah, there it is. Adding files to revision control. So I'm going to have like 500, I'm betting, because I have 457 right now. Actually, I'll show you guys this. Yeah, it says right here. There's my repository. Here's all of these different assets. Oh, oh my gosh. Oh, wow. Oh yeah, so if I try to if I try to commit, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Yeah, oh, and I can't commit actually because Unreal Engine is open. Right. Actually, maybe if I disable, I think then I can commit. No, I have to actually close the project. Okay, that figures. That makes sense. That is totally understandable. It's not really. I don't know why. I don't know why it works that way. Okay, but anyways, we're going to that's why I call these game structure. It's like the game mode is the motherboard, and then you have four components that fit into it. Kind of like how in a motherboard you can have four main components that fit into that. You have the CPU, the RAM, the GPU, and then the solid state drive. Am I missing any important ones in there? That's pretty much it. That's what a computer is. Don't even need a case, really. I mean, you have power supply, but like, I guess you could say the power supply of this project is the editor itself. That's what's allowing everything to be visible in the first place. Okay, anyways, so modes, player. So we have a blueprint that's based on this. Now for player, we're going to make a so you see character, the class character inherits from pawn. It even has its own icon. So we're going to make a character that inherits from our original character class. We're going to call it hot end character. So there we go. Oh, and I don't think I actually talked about the other things that are in here. Oh yeah. So HUD class and so the last one I did not talk about, player controller class. So this one essentially tells your pawn how to handle input, okay? Because my AWSD movement and my looking with mouse, those are not automatically implemented. Now, since I inherit from the character class, there are functions that I can override. Like, I think there's a jump function. Let's take a look here. Let's actually... We're going to delete those. We don't need two separate public sections, and we don't need a tick and a... We don't need a set up player input component. Because we're going to have a player controller class that handles input. So I'm going to delete both of those. And I'm going to leave this. I think I might be using that. We're going to delete those comments. Gonna add a space there. Oh yeah, I think we need to, I think I was talking about the player controller. So we need to add a player controller. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look back in my other project because I do not remember how I handled input exactly. Okay, so player. So actually, I want to rename this to player character. I don't like just hot end character because I'm gonna have multiple characters, right? I'm gonna have hot end enemy base. I'm gonna have hot end, I like player character as a general rule. Okay, so player controller. So we could just, have controller, but since it's a player controller, I want to inherit from that because it's just more specific. So this one's going to be hot end player controller. And this is actually where the naming convention for player and player character comes in handy. Is I'm going to have a widget controller, which is going to, it's going to take data like my gameplay ability, cooldowns, and different timers and things like that. And it's going to translate that into usable data for my widgets. So that's going to be hot end widget controller, I think. Okay, so I think that's what we want there. Compile failed. Why'd you do that? Okay. Don't. No way. Did it turn on live coding? No, it didn't. Okay. That just felt bad. Hold on, I'm gonna make it so that you guys can hear the errors. So hold on, I'm gonna try that again. So let's go down to player controller. One second, actually. I have to make a text, I just realized. Okay, so I think already used my. What the heck are you talking about? I didn't see it in there. Okay, we're gonna open this. Okay, hold up. Okay, let's open this up. Because I just tried to make a player controller class and it just said it wasn't there. Or it just said it didn't compile, but somehow it's still there. So now I'm confused. So, okay, let's search for it. So we have player. Say it's going to be hot end player controller. Okay, let's see what the location of this is. It's actually, we're going to use Alt-O to go to its CPP file. So under game structure, player, hot end player controller. Okay, now it shows up. I swear it wasn't there just a second ago. Also, my hair on my face is driving me crazy. Okay, so in here... Okay, so we have that set up. I'm not going to do any C++ coding yet. Hold on, I'm gonna switch back. I'm gonna reload my project. One second. Beautiful. Okay. Okay, one asset editor. Yeah, so this is pretty nice for opening that. Let's see. Do I want to do that? Beta plugin. Yeah. Whatever. Blueprint assist. Electronic nodes. Dang. Dang. There's a couple plugins that I want to install, but since it's the preview, they're not even available yet. Okay, so we have that, we got that. My player controller is still not showing up here for some reason. Which is kind of a problem, because I need to look at that. Okay, that's kind of weird. Okay, so we have hot end character. Anyways, let's make a blueprint that inherits from that. So we're going to select that. This one's going to be BP underscore hot end. And we're going to use the correct naming convention this time, hot end player character. And we can open this up. And just to show you what's going on, I don't know why that's doing that. Let's see, load. There we go. Well, glad that's not what I want at all. Okay, there we go. It wasn't showing this side panel before. And I don't know how to bring that up other than to just reload the layout. Okay, so why does this grid look different? You know what? They changed the UI in the 5.6.0 preview. Yeah, they changed things just a little bit. I'm used to using 5.4.4. Yeah, they made it grayer. It used to be way more black. Anyway, in our C++ class, we're going to have to make an object pointer for the skeletal mesh asset. We're going to have to we'll make an animation blueprint. That's going to be its own separate thing. I don't know if we'll make a C++ class for the animation blueprint to inherit from. But there's that. And I can't quite remember. Oh yeah, of course. We'll need to make a camera spring arm and then a camera component. We'll need to make a socket for holding items such as weapons, potions, and then the plethora of items that I have designed already. Like, not designed as in implemented in game. I don't have models for them. I only have written down what they are and their basic functionality. Just like I said earlier, just kind of have the world building going on and some mechanics to implement, they're not implemented at all. Okay, but anyway, let's close that. We're going to close that as well. And then we're going to make a blueprint that inherits from the player state. We're going to call this BP underscore hotend player state. Actually, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger because this is probably a little bit hard to see if you guys are watching. So make it a little bit bigger. I mean, my camera is blocking it anyway, but whatevs. Need some water. Listen to that. Nice. Okay, we're gonna make. What was our last one actually? Let's take a look. So we made our default pawn, we made our player state class, we made our player controller, even though it doesn't show up for some reason. Oh, and we actually need to make a blueprint that inherits from that player controller, right? So hotend player controller. Well, good thing it doesn't show up, so that way we can't use it, right? That's great. Hold on, I'm gonna do some off camera work here. Actually, I think I can show you guys this. So I'm gonna go into, and we got all this stuff here, right? So I'm gonna go into source, hotend. I have to go in private, game structure, player, and I'm gonna delete my player controller. Okay, so I'm gonna delete that. And I'm gonna go back and back again. I'm gonna go in public to delete the player controller.h file. Okay, so now we have that. And So I think, well, that's not great. Anyway. Okay, there we go. I want to keep that off screen. Okay, I'm gonna click this, we're gonna compile, and then it's gonna say, yeah, now we have what? What's your problem? Using Visual Studio. Build. What is your problem? Tick member function not declared in a Hotend character. Well, good, because I deleted it, as it should be. Okay, we're gonna try to create. Oops, I don't want to be an engine. I want to be in here. It feels so weird having all the UI bigger. A little bit of a life tidbit. So I think I talked in the past, on past streams, about how I've been really invested in the success of this game that recently just went out of, it just closed its open alpha playtest. It's called Expedition into Darkness. And I was going to make a video singing its praises, and I just didn't get to it because I'm not good at recording videos or editing them, and just nerves and stuff like that. So, but I've been trying to spread the word on Reddit. No, on Reddit. Hold up. I've been trying to spread the word on Reddit, in the Dark and Darker community, because there are a lot of people there that are like, man, this game is trash. I really want. Well, they haven't been saying they've been wanting something better. They've just been complaining about Dark and Darker. And, okay, hopefully this works. Hopefully this opens up. So I've been saying, hey, please try out this game. Join the Discord. It's amazing. You will not regret it. Okay. I'm crossing my fingers. My name's... Okay. My name's Finger Crossing, and I'm crossing my fingers. Okay, good. We searched for player controller, and there's no Hotend player controller. So, unless my... Yes. Whoops, mic smack. Ow. I hate wearing glasses with headphones because they just smush against my skin. Okay. So we are creating that. And live coding is disabled. We have to recompile the Hotend module before it will appear in the content browser. Why is that? Why is that? Ah, you probably heard that beep sound. That means bad stuff, I think. Okay, compile. Okay, maybe that's why they turned it off. I'm gonna turn that off for myself. Okay, let's see. Okay, we're gonna turn that off. Let's let's see here. We're gonna open up. Let's open up our U project. Yeah, player controller is there. So we have to reload the hotend module. Or recompile it. Which I don't understand. I don't understand why we would have to do that. But if I try to look for it here, so if I try to look for hotend player controller, it just doesn't show up. Okay, I guess. Man, I love doing things my way. My way is the best way. Anyway, I guess we are just gonna we're just gonna make a HUD class, I suppose. So we're gonna make this hotend HUD. And instead of calling it hotend player HUD or hotend player character HUD, I might have HUDs. I hate saying that. I'm gonna say widgets because that's the actual Unreal Engine term for it. A widget it's an actor that gets displayed in the screen space instead of being like this landscape actor where it's displayed in the 3D space. It's just gonna be against my screen, just like the health bar kind of. I might have widget elements that are for enemies, and they'll still display to the player, but they're not for the player specifically. They're not like they don't live off of the player's data. They use the enemy's data. So that's why I just call it hotend HUD instead of hotend player HUD. Okay, same thing here. Well, why did that happen with this and not with the other one? It said I must recompile the hotend module before it will appear in the something something. In the content browser, I think. I think that was right. Public HUD. I don't know, man. I don't know. At least it shows up here. That's something. Because if it didn't show up here, I would be really stumped. Hold on, I'm actually going to... I'm going to use this right here. Okay, let's... recompile engine module UE5. If the module is a built in, I think they mean to say built in. Yeah, I'm talking myself hoarse this morning. Yeah, honestly, this might be working the way that it is, which is not working, because normally, I'm gonna minimize those for a second. If I go to plugins, let's look at Visual Studio. Yeah, so we have Visual Studio Code integration right here. We actually don't need those. I'm gonna transition here real quick. And the reason we don't need those plugins is we're not using Visual Studio. We're using JetBrains Writer, which is an alternative to Visual Studio. I like it better. I just think it has cleaner UI. I guess that's it. It's just personal preference. Not really a ton of advantage I see in it. But, yeah. I don't remember why I even switched in the first place. Oh yeah, it's because of it's because of Stephen Ulibarri's course. That's why. So yeah, it's really weird because when I created these two, that pop-up did not show up. At least I don't think it did. Okay. I would start working on the actual gameplay ability system, but I want to switch to another branch before I do that, and to switch to another branch, I have to actually commit. So I wonder if there's anything else I can do. Because the branch that I'm on, I want to just have that be for the, I think, what's the name of it? I have it, oh my gosh, 1022 changed files. My gosh. Yeah, I have this core slash game structure. So it's strictly for like the foundation of of the project. Okay. Well, anyways, I can at least slide this in there. And then let's see, player state. I have hot time player state. Don't have anything like that. Man, that is really a mystery. Oh, you know what? Oops, actually, that's not what I wanted. Under game structure, I kind of have some other miscellaneous ones. So I have levels, because maps and modes, they kind of go together as well. Um, if, actually, now that I think about it, the level is kind of like the power supply in the analogy, because the game mode actually fits into the level itself. So I'm gonna, under levels, got that there. I'm gonna, this is the level currently, and that's the HLOD layer. So I'm gonna move those. Okay, please don't be all weird. Don't be all weird on me. Man, I can't wait until my project gets so big that it takes like 5 minutes to compile. Because I'm pretty sure that that's what happens. Um, so I haven't thought about this a ton. I've never completed an entire game before. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Um, My plan for Hot 10 currently is, like I said, I want to have a prototype released at the end of the year, but I'm thinking I might implement some really basic mechanics, but still give it a little bit of polish so that I can release it on itch for you guys to try out and play to see if at least those mechanics are fun. And then on top of that, very thin layer of polish and a very simple game, I want to build out the rest of the game. And that that rest of the game will be my actual commercial release on Steam. I'm not sure if that's a good tactic to employ, but that's kind of my thinking right now, because I don't want to be like, oh, I'm gonna spend 3 years making this game and then nobody likes it. You know, that would be that would be pretty depressing. So, um, yeah. Okay, if I open Hot and say, okay, if I open it there, then it's fine. I'm gonna open the. Okay, okay, okay. How the heck do I even set the override again? I totally forgot how to do that. Hold up. Uh, Wait a second. I don't even need that. I can use Copilot. How to set game mode override. Yeah, it doesn't show world settings there. How do I? Oh, wait. It's somewhere. Aha. Aha. There it is. Now, game mode override. Yes. Okay, so, oops. So game mode override will be uh, the initial game mode that starts off when we press play up here. Basic class. Game state. Game state is also for server replication, except it pertains to environmental objects, I believe, instead of pawns. Pretty sure that's how it works. So if I press play, I'm going to start at that player start, and I don't have a body, there's no controller, and I'm not going to be able to move. But if I just switch that to none, then I would be able to move around with uh, the default spectator class. So we're gonna switch that back, and okay, this is I'm actually really glad that we have this. That's really important to have at least. So we're gonna open this up so that we can have some things for this to inherit from. Let's open and delete all of this. Boop boop boop. Content character. Let's open this up. Oh, this is why we're getting that error before. We didn't actually we deleted the function declaration here, but we never deleted it on the CPP file. So and delete that. I'm gonna delete these comments because I already know what they do. If you don't, then that's your problem. Okay, so under protected, and the protected section, if I understand it correctly, I have a really hard time memorizing a lot of these terms, but I believe the protected section is well first of all, there's three sections. There's public, protected, and the one I can't type. There we go. And private. So public, each of these sections, under each of these, you can define functions and variables to be used by your class, the class that other classes might, so other classes that inherit from this one, or any class. So, and that's going from bottom to top. So private is only, that means it's functions and variables that are only for this class. Okay. Protected is for, this means that whatever functions or variables that I have here, classes that inherit from hot end character can also access those, or they can override functions. Public means that any class can access them. Well, if you do the right implementation. It's not like I can just go in any class willy-nilly and be like, oh, I want to access the hot end character. There's casts that you have to do and whatnot, but this is essentially visibility. How visible is it to other classes? This means no visibility, limited, and full. So we want to create a camera component so that when we start in the game, we have something that can be controlled by the player controller. So we can have some look functionality. And so that we can see the skeletal mesh that we'll eventually implement. So let's implement that right now. I'm going to take these glasses off because they're pinching my face. Excuse me. So, yeah, like this one, for example, virtual void begin play. This is a virtual function, which means, you can see we're overriding it right here, actually. Which means we are inheriting from a class above us. And that would be so let's see. Hot end character inherits from character. Character inherits from pawn. Pawn inherits from actor. Actor inherits from object, which is like the primordial class. It just doesn't have any functionality whatsoever. But yeah, so we're gonna create not a T object pointer. We're gonna create a U camera component. And we're gonna add for declaration. And this is actually gonna be, it's just gonna be camera. And we're going to make this a U property. Actually, no, we're not. No, we're not, because we don't want to be able to change it within the editor. That's what U property does, by the way, is that it exposes this, actually. No, it is supposed to be a U property. But we're going to set it so that it's just visible edit anywhere and not editable anywhere. I think I'm trying to do a lot of this off memory instead of just copying from my other project. We'll see how much I can get done. So here, U property, visible anywhere, and then this one's going to be a U spring arm component. And here we're going to do Alt Enter. So when I do Alt Enter after hovering over something like this, because I can see that we have this little green line there, which means something's going on that we have to amend. So I could either add an include at the top or forward declaration. And I believe forward declaration is pretty much the default. And the reason that we're having to do either of these is Unreal Engine knows what this is. It knows what a U spring arm component is, which is why I was able to auto-complete it for me. But it needs some way to retrieve information about that class. So since it's just a pointer, as indicated by that asterisk, we're going to have a for declaration. Okay, so we have that. And then in here, in the constructor, we're going to comment this out. I'm not sure if I need this right now, but I'm going to comment it out. And we're going to construct both of these. So I'm going to camera equals create default subobject, and this, what's the type? It's going to be of type uCamera component. And the name for this is just going to be camera. And then we're going to set some other parameters for it. But those are not important right now. Actually, we're going to set up the spring arm. And we're going to, wait, hold up. There we go. We're going to create default subject, subobject. Let's see, use spring arm component, spring arm. And then from here, see if I remember the syntax. I think it's set root, something about root component. How do I do that again? What I'm trying to do here is, oh, I'm trying to attach it. Right, so set up attachment, root component. There we go. And then when I set up the attachment here, whoops, I have to have camera, then set up attachment. We're just going to attach it to the spring arm. The spring arm is, it's a component that lets us change the distance between the player's camera and the player themselves. You can change the angle of the camera in a lot of different ways. You can change the offset, like is the camera going to be angled around the player's head, or is it going to be angled around a spot, 100 centimeters to the right of the player's head or to the left of the player's head? So there's a bunch of customizability there. Oh, I wish I had more water. I'm actually going to go grab some more. So you guys can just chill out. There we go. I'll be right back. I should have gotten water way before that. I'm gonna dehydrate myself. Okay. That's good. Hang this up there. And the huge spot. Okay, we have both of those set up. Okay, I think yeah, we need to set up some parameters for this. So from SpringArm we have, besides setup attachment, which is a function obviously, we have some other variables we can set. For example, target offset. I think that's one that we'll want to set. Actually, we're gonna make a U property out of this because I want to be able to edit target offset within the editor. So I'm actually gonna, just for organization's sake, I'm going to reorder these. So SpringArm. So underneath SpringArm, I'm going to. Oh, you know what? Almost forgot. It's really helpful to set a meta specifier for this, a category. This is gonna be camera. Maybe I should change the name of this then. Camera boom. Let's copy that. Let's paste it there and there. Okay. Yeah, now we can set the category for this one as well. Category camera. Under SpringArm, U property. Let's see, visible anywhere. And I'm gonna make this one edit anywhere. Okay. So under U properties, we're gonna make an F vector because over here, this is an F vector. We want to be able to change that target offset. Target offset. We're going to set that equal to target offset. I think I might be done with Unreal Engine right now, actually. I'm just feeling some fatigue. We can finish up a little bit more, though, actually. So, let's see, under SpringArm. What else can we inherit from? Inherit pitch, inherit roll, inherit yaw. We definitely want that set to true. And inherit yaw just means, okay, when I move the player controller, or yeah, essentially how does it respond to input from the player controller? And when I move my mouse from left to right, I do want the yaw to change. Remember, the yaw is in the x-axis, I think. Is that right? No, it's in the that's the z axis actually. So never mind. Inherit role. Oh, we don't want it to inherit role because there's not going to be any role functionality anyway. Well, actually, there might be. No, no, there won't be. No. So we set up the attachment. We've changed some things there. Let me check if there's anything here. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff. I'm going to compile that. Should be building. Okay. Yeah, let's see. We have an error. Oh, duh. Let's see if I save here. Control Shift B. Yeah, honestly, I might not be able to. What did I mess up now? Oh, right there. And there we go. I might not be able to like really work on this project until the plugin for JetBrains gets added to 5.6. Anyways, I'm gonna get some more water. Nice. And I'm glad I don't drink, because otherwise I would be so dehydrated. The dehydration would be immeasurable. Okay, I'm gonna close that down, and I'm gonna close that down. Yeah, we're gonna do some level design for other project actually. Might as well. I don't remember where to find it. Oh, right. Here. I found it. That's good. Loading, loading, loading. Okay. Actually, I literally just opened up the project, but I'm gonna have to close it again because I need to. Never mind. I don't need to do that. Okay. We're gonna reopen it. Reopening the project. And it's opening. And it's so close to being open. There we go. Okay. let's see. So I didn't stream yesterday, but I did work on the level a tiny bit. And I think last time I streamed, we worked on this. And actually, I feel like I got a good amount done. I'm kind of proud of this. So we're going to leave this alone for now. That's plenty of detail as it is. What we really need to work on right now is, well, we need to ornamentalize a lot of this. There's just so much to work on. It's kind of overwhelming. I think this looks okay right now, so I'm going to leave this alone. The stairs are pretty bad. Maybe I should work on that. I think last time I might have been talking about how I should work on the landscape first and then shape the architecture around that, because like, oh yeah, that's how people would do it too. They would shape their architecture around the landscape. That's what happens when you don't have the technology for vast land removal. But it also it doesn't really make a lot of sense, because then you don't have the guarantee of having interesting environments to explore. Oh yeah, I liked this too. This was cool. Yeah, and with this, I actually shaped the landscape around this to make it work. So, yeah, I think I'm going to revise what I said. I'm not gonna do that. Why is this a wall instead of stairs? This should really be stairs. And also, it starts off relatively flat here and then gets tilted. We all seeing the same thing? We all seeing that? We can shift it that way. We can shift it this way. Hold on, actually, I'm gonna open levels. Okay, I'm gonna save all that. I'll probably work on this for like 10 more minutes, to be honest. I'm getting kind of tired of Unreal Engine. Ah, but I want to work on it. Is this upper or lower section? I think upper section starts there. There's some ambiguous elements, like I'm not sure if this tree should belong in bridge upper section or landscaping cliffs. It doesn't belong in either. Fantastic. That's not great. How do I move? How do I move this? Oh wait, I think I literally just drag it there, right? Nope. Why would it be that easy? That's stupid. No, we can't make it that easy. That would be stupid. It would be ridiculous. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna add some. This should really be thicker. Should be way thicker. Okay, we're on bridge, upper section. We should be on bridge. Lower section. When I increase the scale, it also... That's unfortunate. See how it does that bend? Oh, man. That's rough. That's too bad, because it really doesn't make any sense for the bridge to be that thin. It's ridiculously thin. I think I'm gonna change this to... Let's go by increments. Oh, dear. Oh, no. Wait. Okay, that's not too bad. But that means I have to adjust everything. Wait. If I set this back to 1, okay, and then let's see, I'm gonna make a duplicate of this. Nope, never mind, I'm not. Wait. How the heck do I select the whole thing again? Like that. Okay. There we go. So I have that right there. And I want to increase this to 3. Oops. What are we thinking is? I think that's a good thickness. That's pretty good. Okay. I'm going to look at this. I'm going to copy that location. Then I'm going to paste that right there. So we got BP spline wall, and then we have spline wall 8. Wait, I wonder. Oh, it's set at 1 again. Okay, I'm going to just set that back. Whoops. Okay, now here, I'm going to copy the location of that. Wait, what? It says it's 0, 0. Wait, it says the location for that point in the spline is 0, 0, 0. Wait, oh. Oh, I see. Okay. Selected spline point is right there. Okay. Okay, okay. We're gonna paste. Why didn't that work? Maybe is it relative to the rest of it? Maybe that's it. Oh man. I think we're just gonna delete this. And I'm gonna try to fit this in place as well as possible. Let's take that point there. Yeah, now it's all like twisty. I don't get that. don't even know what I'm doing anymore. What am I doing? It's tough. It's tough. It ain't easy. Honestly, I had let's see. When I was doing level design and I had my little drink from Caribou, that was nice. Like I could actually focus. I might now that I realize it, that drink was probably just a Red Bull with some Caribou proprietary flavors. I might just I might snatch up one of those Red Bulls today. We'll see. Man, I am having like no creativity right now. That's a nav mesh for enemies. Why the heck is it shifted all the way over there? Huh. Okay, I physically cannot think. So guess what I'm doing? Giving up. Yep, that's me. Okay. Uh, okay, I think I'm gonna try a little bit more of Boars in Rome. There we go. I don't know, it always starts off so loud. What feels like that anyway. We're gonna try to do a little challenge today. Oh, okay. Alrighty. Okay. Whoa! Ow. There's no time to, like, pause and just think. And it's really, like, it's hard. Ow. It's hard to see the bars. Especially in the dark there. Just takes up a... Okay, well... I just can't swing far enough, I guess. I just can't do it. Oh, man. You know what? We're actually gonna... Let's try the flooded city. I want to see how quickly I can speedrun this. Because I saw somebody on the Discord that did, oh, my slide did not work. Hold up, let's restart that. I saw somebody on the Discord who got like 40 seconds to clear this whole thing. So I'm gonna give it a smooth run attempt. Oh, my slide did not work. If you try to land in a... If you try to land with a slide, it does not work that well. There we go. That's what I was trying to do, was slide off that roof. Okay. Oh dear. Okay. Nope, not making that, I guess. How the heck do I get up there, I wonder? Anyway, I'm gonna... Oh my goodness. Oh, Huh, interesting. I don't know why I couldn't stay there. What? There we go. Okay. Well, that's perfect timing because I need to use the restroom. Okie dokie. 1 second. Be right back. I forgot to unmute myself. Don't worry, I wasn't saying anything important. It's all good. I was... Okay, well, I was just talking about the game a little bit. Not stuff that's too important. They need to add more verticality. And then, oh yeah, I was talking about the swing bars. How they need to make these stand out more in shadowy areas. Here they're fine, but in the catacombs they definitely need some work. But yeah, good thing I muted myself, so I had to repeat all of that. Most of it was just waffling though. It's all good. But yeah, I think I'm gonna call it there. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll be streaming tomorrow from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. That's about it. I will see you in the next video. Farewell.